Kathy, did you receive a blue pamphlet with your notice in the mail?
I did.
Did you happen to read it and do you understand it?
I read it, but I didn't really understand it.
Okay, we will go over that. To understand this pamphlet, you have to understand how the water system works. February 1st of 2012, the state and the DNR got together and they wrote a law, and it's called the Cross Connection Inspection Program. Told every water utility in the state of Wisconsin, you have to do this inspection. You are required to do so many per year. All 50 states wrote their own version of the law. It's just something we are required to do. So, to understand how the cross connection program works, you have to understand, like I said earlier, how the water system works out in the street. The pressure in the water main out in the street is higher out in the street than it is in your house. So that is the reason why when you turn on a cold water faucet, the water comes into your house. Because the pressure is greater outside, it gets forced into your house. If an event would ever occur where pressure in the water main out in the street becomes lower out in the street than it is in your house, we get what's called backflow, back siphonage, back pressure. In simplistic terms, it just means the water in your house will get sucked out of your house through the water service and out to the water main out in the street. And depending where that water comes from, potentially it may not be safe for human consumption. So that is the reason they wrote this law, which I call program. Okay?
Okay.
So they put verbiage in the program that says the utilities are not responsible for kitchen or bathroom inspections. Instead, we provide you with this pamphlet, go over it with you, answer any questions you may have about it, and then continue on with our rest of our inspection. So, the first column in this pamphlet explains what is a cross connection, how can contaminations occur, and the 1, 2, 3 different ways the water can get sucked out of your house and out to the water main in the street and dispersed up and down the street. The third column pertains to potential hazards in your kitchen. All dishwashers and washing machines have built-in backflow preventers in them. So if you are doing a load and an event occurs out in the street, that water should never leave the appliance and work its way out to the street and contaminate the water system.
You've mentioned an event happening out in the street. What might that event be?
The two most common events are a large water main break or a fire in the area and the fire department arrives and turns on multiple fire hydrants at one time to get water. Those are the two most common events that could potentially cause pressure in the water system to drop. Okay? The third column pertains to potential hazards in your bathroom. And the biggest potential hazard in the bathroom is the water in the toilet tank. Some people use pucks that turn the water blue. Some people will use a bleach puck to help keep their toilet clean. That's all fantastic. If an event would occur out in the street where pressure drops, the water in the toilet tank will get sucked out of the tank and work its way out to the street unless you have an approved backflow preventer type of toilet tank assembly installed. And you may already have one. Lots of people do. There's only one way you'll know, and that is to go into your bathroom, take the lid off the tank. You probably will need to have a flashlight handy, and in my case I needed a magnifying glass because the letters are very small, and you're going to look for the 4 capital letters, ASSE, and for toilets it's part number 1002. I tell everybody you don't need to worry about the numbers. It's all about the 4 capital letters, ASSE. Sometimes they go straight across like this. Sometimes they're on top of one another like this. Most often they're like this in a circle. Never ever found on the flapper side. Always found on the fill side of your toilet tank assembly. And they could be anywhere. The top of the cap, the side of the cap, the top of the float, the side of the float, or stamped on this plastic stem. If you see the 4 capital letters, ASSE, any place on this fill side, you have an approved backflow preventer type of toilet tank assembly and that water can never leave the tank except to go down into the bowl and out to the sewer.
And what if I don't find those
If you
letters?
do not have, if you cannot find those letters, that is your responsibility to have it taken care of.
Call a plumber?
You can call a plumber, you can go to a hardware store, buy this part yourself and take your old one out and put a new one in yourself. It's entirely up to you.
Okay.
Now that we have finished the explaining and going over the pamphlet, and you don't have any more questions about this, we will proceed toward your basement and go over the actual inspection, me asking you 9 questions directly related to what's on this form, and we'll see if you pass or not.
Sounds good.
Kathy, the first question on the inspection is, do you have a water softener?
I do.
The answer is yes. The biggest potential hazard with the water softener is the discharge line. Depending where you have the discharge line laying, if an event would occur out in the street where pressure drops, potentially it could grab things that are not safe for human consumption and really cause problems. And your discharge lines right now are going down here, and they are submerged into the drain, and that is illegal. That is an automatic fail. So I will be failing you on our form here, but I can offer some suggestions to you on how to correct this problem. This can be easily remedied. The requirements are that the discharge line has to be the simplest. Let me put it this way. The simplest fix is the end of the discharge line has to be a minimum of 1 inch above the flood rim of the drain. The flood rim of the drain is not the rim of the drain here. It's the highest part on the floor around this. So in your case, it's probably like right about here. So the end of the discharge line has to be a minimum of 1 inch above the flood rim of that. That creates what's called an air gap. And if the water softener is regenerating and an event occurs out in the street where pressure drops, then because you have a 1 inch air gap there, that water or anything else that's down in the drain cannot get grabbed and pulled, sucked out of that drain and pulled through the hose and through the plumbing and work its way out and contaminate the water system. Now, there are other ways where a person could take their hose and put this up higher, like up to about this level, and install a T, and then coming off the T, one side of the T, the hose continues to go down to the drain, and coming off the T would have a piece that kind of goes across, goes up, goes over, faces down, and that will prevent a vacuum from being created. If you do that T, you can still have the hose submerged in the drain, and if an event would occur in the street where everything tried to suck backwards, it would only suck air because of what you had up on this point. I hope you understand that.
Okay.
Them are the simplest fixes for a water softener, but you will fail today because that is submerged.
But you're going to give me information on how to
I will.
how to fix this.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I will give you that at the end. Okay? Next question on the form is, do you have down in your basement here a laundry tub with hose threads?
No, not in my basement.
Okay. Do you have any place in your basement you can hook a hose up to and get water?
I'm not sure.
And let me help you on that. The answer is yes. You have a faucet right here that has threads on that you could hook a hose up to and get water. And according to the state, the biggest potential hazard is you hook a hose up to this and you turn the water on and the hose is laying on the floor and you're washing the floor and you're pushing water to the drain, and all of a sudden either the drain could plug or the phone rings or something like that, and you get called away and you leave the water run for a little bit and you get a little bit of pooling of water right off the end of the hose, and an event occurs out in the street where pressure drops, then the water that's on the floor pooling around the end of the hose will get sucked back through the hose, work its way through all the plumbing in your house, and work its way out to the street and contaminate the water system. So as that sits here today, that fails. But the utility recognizes that this is an easy solution. So what we are going to provide to you at no cost, it's called a hose bib vacuum breaker. It's got the letters ASSE in a circle right there, and the part number for this is called a 1011. It's another one of these things, you don't care about the numbers, it's all about the 4 letters, ASSE. And I am required to give you the directions, and I will explain this to you on how it works. This threads right on to your faucet here, and it gets threaded on hand tight. And then what you do is, if you ever hook a hose up to this and you turn the water on, first thing you want to make sure is that you have this tight enough so no water comes out the top here on this rim. If you get water coming out the top here, then you need to tweak that a little bit tighter. Then you hook your hose up to the hose threads right onto here, and you can do whatever you want. And there is, if an event occurs where the water starts going in reverse, the second that happens, this device called a backflow preventer, it totally stops the water from going in reverse right here at this point. There's some holes on the bottom here. Water will come out, and it will keep the water system in the street and the plumbing in your house and everything in your house safe. So just by having this installed, you now pass this step of the inspection. And I'm just documenting an ASSE 1011, which is what that part is called, was provided. Okay? Next question is, do you have a boiler?
No.
Okay. Do you have a humidifier attached to your furnace that injects moisture into the air?
I do.
We have to take a look at that. The biggest potential hazard with a humidifier attached to the furnace is if there's a tray in here and that tray holds water continuously, and in time the water will become stagnant, and then if an event occurs and the copper line that feeds the water into that tray is submerged in the tray, and the water becomes stagnant, and then an event occurs, that stagnant water will work its way out to the street and potentially cause problems. So, but I'm very happy to tell you that this particular model does not have a tray that holds water. This particular model passes. It's perfect.
Why do you know that this particular model passes automatically?
Well, we've talked to some HVAC people and some plumbers, and they've taken them apart while we've been there, and we have actually seen that we know this model passes.
Is it based on the age of the unit, or?
The newer, I have not seen any new ones fail. They've all passed. I've only seen a couple fail, and they've been very, very old. They say they have a model number in the 100s. I've seen them fail.
So this one's 18 years old.
It's still,
not a problem.
It still passes. It has an air gap in there, and it does not hold water at all.
So anything older than that, people might have to open it up and
It's
look
one of
to
those
see.
things where you're going to have to open it up and you're going to have to look at it.
Okay.
And if you have questions, you should ask either your plumber or your HVAC person.
But I pass.
You pass.
Great.
Absolutely. Kathy, do you have a lawn irrigation system?
No.
Do you have a water-powered sump pump
I believe my sump pumps are electric. They're plugged in.
plugged into the wall?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a pool, spa, or hot tub?
We have an outdoor hot tub.
That we will have to go take a look at, along with how many outside faucets do you have?
2.
We will go look at both of them.
Okay.
All right, Kathy, we're looking at your outside faucet here. The biggest potential hazard with an outside faucet is you have an outside faucet and you hook your hose up to it, and you hook a sprayer up to the end of the hose and you add a chemical to the sprayer to either fertilize your lawn, fertilize a garden, fertilize plants. You add a weed killer to kill the weeds in your lawn. And you are spraying away, and an event occurs out in the street where pressure drops. If you do not have an approved anti-siphon backflow preventer type of outside faucet installed, that liquid chemical will get sucked out of the sprayer, through the hose, through the faucet, work its way out to the street and contaminate the water system. Now, there's only one way you're going to know if you have an approved outside faucet, and that is the 4 capital letters ASSE will be stamped on there someplace. I'm very happy to tell you this is a really nice anti-siphon faucet that right here on the side has the 4 capital letters ASSE, and for faucets it's part number 1019. It's not about the number, it's all about them 4 capital letters. So this faucet absolutely passes.
Great.
Kathy, this is your second outside faucet, and I'm happy to tell you there's an approved anti-siphon faucet with the letters ASSE stamped right on it. So both of your outside faucets pass. But in the event that you have an outside faucet that is not an anti-siphon faucet or does not have the letters ASSE stamped on them, that is a very simple fix the utility will help you with. The utility is providing to you at no cost. This is the exterior version of an ASSE 1011 called a hose bib vacuum breaker. How it works is it has a gasket in there and a diaphragm, and this gets threaded right onto your outside faucet, and the hose gets threaded onto this end like always, and it has a plunger here. And if the water ever goes in reverse while you're using it, the plunger slams up like this and immediately stops the flow of water from going backwards. Okay? Keeps your house safe, keeps the water system safe.
So the utility provides that to a customer that doesn't have the approved faucet?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other thing you need to know about these is if we provide them to you and you use the faucet during the course of the year, in the fall of the year when you want to put your garden hose away for the winter and everything, this device holds a couple tablespoons of water. We don't want that to freeze and break. So very simple, go up to the 1011 and just tap it 3, 4, 5 times like this until all the water is done coming out the bottom here. When you get no more water, it's good to go for the winter.
So you don't need to remove it, you could leave
You
it
do
on?
not need to remove it. Kathy, you told me you had a hot tub
Mm-hmm.
sitting right here. My question for you is, how do you fill the hot tub?
With water from the outside faucet?
Water from the outside faucet. And your outside faucet, we have already inspected and proven that it meets code. So that is perfect scenario.
Great.
You're perfectly safe filling it as you always do. All right, Kathy, we finished the inspection, and I'm sorry to have to tell you, but your house fails the inspection today, specifically due to the water softener drain. So I put you as failed right here. You have 30 days to get it corrected, and then you give us a call. Phone number is right here on the form. Once you have it corrected, you call us. We will come back. It will take us less than 5 minutes to do the re-inspection, and once we have looked at it and seen that you have corrected it so that it passes, then we will change this from no to yes and put the re-inspection date on it, and the inspection then will be good for 20 years. Okay?
Sounds good.
So the inspection is good for 20 years, or if the meter malfunctions, the radio malfunctions, if you have a water quality complaint, or if on any given month your consumption of water goes way, way, way above your average, or way, way, way below your average, by law we are required to investigate to make sure that either A, our meter is working properly, or, for example, you put in an above ground swimming pool, filled it and used a lot of water, or B, is our meter working properly, or you were gone on vacation for a month and didn't use any water. By law, we are required to investigate that. So anytime we show up, we have the right to do the inspection again. Now, because you failed the inspection, I'm going to be leaving you this form, and here's the box that I've checked. Part G on the form is specifically related to water softeners. Gives you some pointers, tips on how to correct the water softener issue. And like I said, once you have it corrected, give us a call. We'll come back and take care of it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Kathy, you called and I came back and you said you fixed your water softener problem.
We did?
And I'm looking at this right now, and this is the simplest, most inexpensive, easiest fix there is. She attached the discharge line to some blocking, clamped it in place, has it so we have some 90-degree elbows on there, and the bottom of the elbows are more than 1 inch above the flood rim of the drain, and that perfectly meets code. That is a very good setup. So looking at your sheet here, the inspection sheet, I will change this from no to yes. I'll change this from no to yes. And happy to tell you that I just need a signature from you, and I'll sign it, and we are good to go.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.